They're ready, Mayor. Donnie Tuck, give us the command we've been waiting for.
Drivers, start your engines.
The Hampton Heat 200 is on. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Buck Bruce. And from 92.9 and 100.5, and big news coming up. My buddy, here's Mike Allen.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much. Yes, we are ready to go 200 laps with a halfway point in the middle. Time to tighten up the seat belts, and I'm talking about you in the grandstand because this is going to get good. They're about to turn them loose. C.E. Falk and Philip Morris, two of the best on the front row, about to take that green flag from the City of Hampton. The Hampton Heat 200 is on. $200 laps. The biggest race of the year, the biggest purse of the year, $40,000 purse, $10,000 to win, and they battle it out for the lead on lap one. C.E. Falk and Philip Morris. C.E. got into Philip a little bit, pushed him up the racetrack at the exit of 4. Now he dives underneath at the exit of 2 and will lead. Races like this, you just don't know where to look because it's good everywhere you do look. It is C.E. Falk, Philip Morris, Nick Smith, Timothy Peters, and Matt Waltz in the top 5. Followed by Peyton Sellers in that 26th, and Greg Edwards, Justin T. Carroll, Brendan Queen, and Connor Hall in the top 10. Good battle back here between the 91 of Justin S. Carroll down on the bottom of the racetrack. And then there's Casey Wyatt. And just ahead, it's the 55 of Mark Wirtz and 5-time champion Danny Edwards in 26 on Butterbean 03. Bubba Johnson, Casey Wyatt, good battle right here. And the 22 also. That's Bobby McCarty in 22. Buck Bruce.
Yeah, that's what I was going to call Bobby McCarty. This is his first time racing here at Larry King Langley Speedway, so not used to what we've seen all season long about the outside not working. But obviously the 22 driver not afraid of it as he's holding wheel to wheel with one of the best shoes here at Langley, Casey Wyatt, to his inside.
And just ahead, a great battle, too, on the outside. It is Danny Edwards Jr. and the 91 of Justin S. Carroll. And right here, the 77 Connor Hall gets by that 57 machine and makes the pass. That's Justin T. Carroll. Casey Wyatt now underneath. The 26 of Danny Edwards, who gets back in line behind Casey. And Mark Wirtz making a move to the front as he gets by the 57. 51 down on the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like he might be off the pace a little bit. That is Paul Green. Casey Wyatt and the 91, great battle continues side by side down the front straightaway. Casey battling for the 12th position, and here's Buck.
Yeah, a little bit something on Casey Wyatt as they go 3 wide into turn number 3, and it's going to cost one machine. It looks like it's going to be Justin Carroll. It's going to cost a couple of spots as they pass the lap machine. But Casey Wyatt talked about it during qualifying to the fans here. But in practice, they found out the 4-barrel carburetor that was allowed on these motors to try to keep up with what they technically call the spec motor now was choking the engine out. So it choked the engine when he hit the throttle, and then about a quarter of the way down the straightaway, it'd kick in and spin the back tires. And so it just was inhibiting. He was not being able to get on the throttle at all. They went back to the 2-barrel carburetor right before qualifying. Qualified decent, but running very well, making his way already past 3 machines is Casey Wyatt.
All right, Buck, thank you very much. Brooks Taylor up here from Martinsville Speedway. Pretty cool to see 31 of these late model stock cars on the racetrack going for it.
Absolutely it is, and we've got a great battle shaping up for the lead here between Philip Morris and C.E. Falk. Philip's been there all night long, and you know a veteran like him is going to pick and choose his points, and they're coming up on some lap traffic, so it's going to be interesting to see how the two of those guys handle this.
Yeah, Matty Ryan in the Hot 100 race car, the number 10, is about to go a lap down. C.E. Falk leads Philip Morris. Nick Smith, 3rd spot. Timothy Peters in the top 5 and 4th. Peyton Sellers in 5th. Matt Waltz, then Greg Edwards, Mark Wirtz, Connor Hall, and Justin T. Carroll. Eastap having a hard time handling his automobile. The number 25, he might be making his way into the pits. I'm not sure, but he is not up to speed in that 25 machine. Eddie Johnson making his way around Langley Speedway. Good to have Eddie back. 1993 track champion. Pass being made by Casey Wyatt. He gets past Butterbean in the 03. Now Danny Edwards. Danny looking on the inside of Butterbean. Danny with some bad luck the race that we had last time here at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway for the late models, but he's got that thing repaired. He says it's good to go, as good as it's ever been. So we'll see what he can do tonight. Buckaroo.
Yeah, Mike talking about Danny. Oh, man, right into the inside wall was Timothy Peters, and now Matty Ryan got the left front tire. Catches Timothy on the inside wall, trying to get to the bottom of the track. Peters continues on, but she's got a left front cut, guys.
And Peters might have some damage on that side where he and the 10 got together. Now it's going to be Matty coming into the pits in the 10. The 40 and the 51 going at it. Great battle. That's Sam Hunt and Bubba Johnston. Everywhere you look, we've got great battles. And up front, the 40 CE Falk has pulled away. Buck.
Yeah, I think that was just closing rate between Timothy Peters and Matty Ryan. And she's on pit road. Like I said, the left front is flat on the machine, but they're trying to pull the hood off right now. There's a lot of steam's coming out from under the hood, so maybe engine problems down here. There's a lot of smoke's coming out the right-hand side of the car. It looks like it could be a brake fire more than anything else, though, down here. And maybe just overheating and coming out the side of the radiator. But she is on pit road and losing laps constantly. Talking about Danny Edwards Jr. as your leaders catch more lap traffic. The last time we were here, it's the first time I've ever seen the left front spindle brake, and then as he hit the wall, the right front spindle brake, breaking both control areas of the Danny's last 26. But he's got her fixed, and she's running pretty good tonight, Mike.
And that contact between the Timothy Peter, or the 01, Philip Morris hasn't really slowed him down as he's challenging again the 40 of CE Falk for the lead as they work the lap traffic. Now, he did go down the racetrack, went over that little bump over the drainage, and when he did that, it upset the car. And then when he came back on the racetrack, Maddie at the same time was having an issue with her automobile, and they ended up making contact, and he's still fast.
Yeah, Mike, actually, that was Timothy Peters that she got into off of turn number 4. They made contact, and Timothy actually looked like he almost hit the inside wall. As now, once again, Paul Green's machine pulls to the bottom of the track, letting the lead cars go by. But yeah, Timothy, if you look at the right side of that car, might have a little bit of damage right before the rear tire on the 12 machine of Peters.
Thank you, Buck. Thanks for setting me straight. You're absolutely right. It is 25 laps out of the first 100 for the 200-lap event, the Hampton Heat 200. Matty Ryan comes into the pits again to the attention of her crew, or just waits to get back out, waits for a good spot to get back out from her spotter. Up here in the booth, there is so much to choose from, to look at, and everywhere you do look, we're seeing some great side-by-side racing and some great passes. Now the 22 gets into the back end of Terry Carroll a little bit, Buck.
Yeah, that's Grayson Gullither's 22 machine, the Hendricks Chevrolet Chevy. And Maddie back on pit road right now. She comes back in, but what I was going to talk about a little bit is Cody Carlton using the leaders to his advantage. As Thomas Marks pulled down, he trapped Dean Shiflett behind him, letting the leaders go by. Well, Cody Carlton jumped up behind the leaders and bypassed both machines. So using his head, the legend driver running late models tonight.
Thank you, Buck. We have lap 29 up in lights. 33 and 57 with a good battle there as Macy Causey gets by. Eddie Johnson, one of the best out here. And CE Falk working that lap traffic, going to the bottom on Eddie Johnson. Philip Morris hanging right with CE Falk, Nick Smith, Timothy Peters, Peyton Sellers. Lap number 32 out of 100 as CE Falk continues to lead. Falk has the most wins in the Hampton Heat. CE champion in 2009, 2010, 2011, 3 in a row. Then in 2013, he got the championship. He's now living in Mooresville, North Carolina, working on some of the big teams, but still having fun when he gets behind the wheel of a late model and showing that he can still get it done, too, as he's maintaining that lead and closing up on some fast cars. Just ahead, it's Terry Carroll in the 90. But this is allowing those second, third, and fourth place drivers to close in, Brooks. They're getting close on CE.
They are. Nick Smith has been there all night. Philip Morris has been there all night. And also there's a little battle shaping up here between Timothy Peters and Peyton Sellers, two guys who have been around for a long time as they're headed off into turn 3 and coming out of 4 here. So that's a battle to keep an eye on here as we head into lap 40 of the Hampton Heat.
Your top 10 at this point: CE Falk, Philip Morris, Nick Smith, Timothy Peters, Peyton Sellers, top 5. Then Greg Edwards, Mark Wirtz, Connor Hall, Matt Waltz, and Justin T. Carroll. 11th spot, Casey Wyatt. 12th, Brendan Queen. 13th, Bobby McCarty in 22. Danny Edwards Jr. in the 14. And Sam Hunt in the top 15 in car 4. Buck.
Yeah, guys, I'm looking at Race Monitor right now, and according to the last lap times, Nick Smith and Timothy Peters are running the fastest times on the racetrack right now. And I noticed that Nick has really run up to the back end of Philip Morris and finds himself around a car length off the back of the second place runner right now.
Seeing some very, very close calls out here on the racetrack as far as people getting into each other and people getting sideways as things are starting to heat up a little bit. Of course, they've been out there for 39 laps. They know there's a halfway break. And then it really gets intense in that second 100-lap segment after they make all those adjustments and they know it's time to go in that second segment of 100 laps. Good battle up here between the 77 and the 2, Matt Waltz. Thought Matt would be a lot faster tonight. He's just ahead of the 57 of Justin T. Carroll. Casey White on the outside, Butterbean down low in the 0-3, trying to make a pass. And that is for the 11th position. And look at Philip Morris, staying right with CE Falk, not letting him get too far away. Now looking on the inside to possibly get past him. Lap traffic just ahead, too. Grayson in the 22 about to go a lap down on lap 43 coming up. So they are setting a blistering pace so far in the Hampton Heat. Nick Smith, he's right there too, and that number 12. The other 12, Timothy Peters. It's easy to get confused out here because we've got so many number 12s. Nick Smith and Timothy Peters in 3rd and 4th position, both with car number 12. Well, Brooks, wouldn't you say that for the most part, everybody's using their head and being patient?
They are, and I talked to a couple of guys before the race, and to a letter, every one of them said this race is going to be all about who saves their car, who manages their tires. So right now, I think what you're seeing is a lot of people figuring out what they have, what adjustments they may need to make at that 100-lap break. But then once we get to that second half of this race, I think everybody's going to want to buckle in because it's going to be exciting. One thing I've been keeping an eye on is how CE Falk is holding that bottom line, but Philip is right there doing the same thing with him. You know, and I think if CE gives an inch, Philip's going to be all over him, and Nick Smith is right there too. So we've got a great battle for the top 3. In fact, it looks like Philip's looking to the inside of CE Falk right now as they head off into turn 1.
Yeah, and one thing, don't get discouraged if you see your favorite driver fall back at this point in the race. They could be saving their equipment, and they could be very fast in that second segment.
You know, Greg Edwards is somebody I've been watching. He's turned a whole lot of laps here at Langley Speedway, and right now he is all over the rear deck lid of Peyton Sellers, and that's going to be a battle that I want to keep an eye on here in the next little bit. And Mark Wirtz is staying right there with those guys as well.
Yeah, Mark Wirtz shown back here in 7th. Greg is in 6th. Peyton Sellers in 5th position. Philip Morris still in the rear view mirror of CE Falk, lap after lap after lap. Buck Bruce.
As I talked about this all day long, Bobby McCarty, you can never count him out. Remember when he dropped back to about 16th in the opening laps? Well, he's driven his way back just outside the top 10. He is running 11th in that 22 car. Keep an eye on that driver. The more he learns about this place, the better he's going to get, because he's already inside of Justin T. Carroll in turn 1.
CE Falk, Philip Morris, Nick Smith, and Timothy Peters and Peyton Sellers, your top 5. Some of the biggest names in NASCAR late model drivers. Here's a good battle between Cameron Bowen and the 22. Cameron Bowen fighting for the 20th position with Grayson. And there goes Greg Edwards making another move as he's working some lap traffic. Three laps completed. And the leaders once again trying to work some lap traffic. Timothy Peters trying to figure out which way to go and has not been able to get by, I should say, CE Falk as CE works the lap traffic. But this is allowing Nick Smith to close up right on the back bumper of Philip Morris as the top 3 are nose to tail. The 88 is about to go back out. Thomas Marks having a few problems along with Paul Green, Matty Ryan, and Craig Eastep. All those drivers seem to be having a little difficulty tonight. Here's Buck Bruce.
Actually, Thomas already has the window net down. He's just going to pull around to the back area, where they pull the cars to the back of their pit stalls on the pit road here. Unfortunately, it looks like a little bit of overheating issues. They were trying to check that car out and trying to get it to run, put some fans on it. Looks like overheating issues, so they put Thomas Marks behind the wall.
Now, I mentioned that the number 2 was falling back a little bit earlier, Matt Waltz, but that might be one of the guys that's saving his equipment tonight. And he knows how to get some wins out here at Langley Speedway.
Well, I think there's a lot of guys out there that right now, again, are just trying to figure out what they have for later on in this race. They don't want to tear anything up. We've got a long way to go and, a short time to get there. But I think we're going to, we're going to see these guys just figure out what they have. They're going to take care of their cars. They're going to take care of their tires. And then once we get to that second half, it's going to be a show. But, racers race, and they're not going to be content. If they've got the opportunity to pass somebody, they're going to take advantage of it. You're seeing some of that back in the back of the field, but I think we're going to start seeing some of that in the front of the field as well.
I think you're absolutely right. And, again, it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen in that second half of the race. Now, CE Falk looks like he's, pretty much got things sewed up, but it's really going to change that second half, especially when these drivers are able to make any adjustments that they're able to make within the guidelines of the officials during that break, that 15-minute break at halftime.
Buck was talking about Bobby McCarty. He has gotten back into the top 10, and now he is looking at Matt Waltz and trying to get around him for that 9th position as he heads to the inside of turn 4.
It is CE Falk, Philip Morris, Nick Smith, Timothy Peters, Peyton Sellers top 5, then Greg Edwards, Mark Wirtz, Connor Hall, Matt Waltz, Bobby McCarty, Justin T. Carroll, Brendan Queen, Sam Hunt, Austin Thaxton, Danny Edwards in the top 15. 16th, Casey Wyatt, then Stacy Puryear, Justin S. Carroll, Bubba Johnston, and Cameron Bowen in the top 20 of 31 cars we have at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway with a $10,000 check for the winner tonight. City of Hampton sponsoring this event. It is the Taylor Waste Services late model stock cars, the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Racing Series. If you're watching it on Fans Choice TV, we're coming to you from Hampton, Virginia, and it's a lot of money up for grabs tonight. And this first segment, not indicative of what you're going to see the second half. 33!
There goes Macy Causey around.
Macy Causey tried to get by the 90, got herself a little upset as she came out of the turn in 4. ended up slamming the inside retaining wall. A ton of damage on the front end for the 33 machine of Macy Causey. 76 laps completed. The Hampton Heat 200 trying to get to the first segment of 100 laps. Then they'll have a 15-minute break to make some adjustments, but got a feeling this restart's going to get a little crazy. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Trailertown USA race car on the outside with Philip Morris behind the wheel. Let's see what he can do on the outside of CE. CE's going to clear him down the back straightaway. Stacking them up now between 3 and 4. Greg Edwards went real high on the racetrack in between turns 1 and 2. Matt Waltz down on the bottom of the racetrack with Greg Edwards on the outside as they fight for that position. Connor Hall now cuts underneath Greg Edwards. 79 laps. A 200-lap race with a halfway break at lap 100. Connor Hall, the Town Bank 77, passes Greg Edwards. Connor now in 8th position. 20 laps to go till the halfway point. Sam Hunt with a challenge by Danny Edwards, 5-time Langley Speedway champion. He clears him on the back straightaway. He and Eddie Johnson now do battle. C.E. Falk about 4 to 5 car lengths ahead of Philip Morris. Elm City Assisted Living, one of the sponsors on the side of C.E. Falk. Mark Wertz, he's starting to come to life in the Dunkin' Donuts 55 as he challenges Peyton Sellers for 5th. Well, that 22, Bobby McCarty, he has a fast car tonight, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. Those Autos by Nelson Motorsports cars, they they come to the track to race, and Bobby McCarty's somebody who he hasn't been here, but it didn't take him long to figure out how to get around this place. And that shows a guy that's got some talent. And I think we get another 115 laps into this thing, and he's going to be somebody that you may want to pay attention to towards the end of the Hampton Heat.
77 and 55 going at it with a great duel as they battle it out just outside the top 5. And it looks like the 77 Town Bank machine, Connor Hall, is going to make the pass on Mark Wertz. They're just ahead of the 2 of Matt Waltz and Greg Edwards. The 97.3, the Eagle Ride. And then Justin T. Carroll and Bobby McCarty. Up front still C.E. Falk, Philip Morris.
Connor Hall is moving up through the field again, and he has caught Peyton Sellers. That's going to be a battle to keep an eye on. Buck?
Yeah, guys, I talked to Philip Morris's crew for a few seconds under that caution flag, and they said Philip pretty much, he ran up to the back end of the 40 car, said he proved exactly what he knew. He looked to the inside, and now he's just saving tires for the second half. He said, but they are a little worried because Nick Smith, after about 15 or 20 laps, the 12 car of Nick Smith, the Streeter Surfaces Chevy, starts to come to life, and he's rolling in right on the back of Philip right now, guys.
10 laps to go, Buck, until we get to the halfway point.
The top 5 has been the same about all night, but I think we may have a change as Connor Hall is headed to the inside of Peyton Sellers, headed into turn 3 and coming out of 4.
Connor Hall, he's very happy he's been able to win at other tracks, but he wants to win at Langley Speedway worse than any of those other racetracks. Can't get it done yet, but tonight could be the night, and if you were to do it, a big payoff too. Nick Smith starting to challenge the 0-1 for that second position.
Connor Hall headed to the inside of Timothy Peters. He is now up to fourth, and he's going to be closing in on that battle between Peyton Sellers and Nick Smith before this first segment's all said and done with, I believe.
He has got a rocket ship. That 77 is coming fast. Connor Hall, top three, nose to tail, separated by 3 car lengths at least. And now it's Connor Hall in the 77 in fourth position.
You know, one of the great things about this Virginia Triple Crown is you start at South Boston and you get those guys, Timothy Peters, Peyton Sellers, Austin Thaxton, who race at South Boston every week, and the Langley guys come up and race them there, and then they come back to Langley. So each half of the field gets a home race, and then you settle it on the neutral track at Martinsville Speedway. So I think that's one of the neat things about this Triple Crown is you really find out who the best drivers are in Virginia. You get a home race, an away race, and then a neutral race.
It's a fun race, all of them. And, just like Martinsville Speedway, this place not banked too much, about 6 degrees in the corners. And Martinsville doesn't have that much banking either, but it's fun to watch these guys do good here. If you do good here at Langley Speedway, you can do good pretty much everywhere. Same with Martinsville.
Absolutely, and they got another battle going on here as Langley favorite Matt Waltz is starting to head to the inside of Timothy Peters. We got a battle going up there. Mark Wirtz right in that. Brendan Queen. We got a great battle going on for the back half of the top 10.
And Greg Edwards stuck on the outside of Butterbean. But
yeah, guys, and they're playing bumper cars. They've been doing it for about 2 or 3 laps. Matt Waltz has been the engine, and back there in the caboose has been Bobby McCarty, but now he bypasses Greg Edwards and throws him to the tail end of that train of cars.
Greg Edwards really got stuck on the outside in that restart, and he was the one driver that could not get back down to the inside of the track. And as you talked about earlier, Buck, the outside groove just hasn't really come in, and he's been stuck on the outside ever since the restart.
Peyton Sellers able to get by that 77 of Connor Hall. So I don't know if Connor's just backing off trying to save his stuff for the second half of the race, but he backed off, and we have the halfway sign being shown. They'll throw the caution flag to stop everybody the next time all the drivers get through. And now the caution flag is out for a halfway challenge right here. C.E. Falk leads the first half of the race. Philip Morris in second. Nick Smith, Peyton Sellers, Connor Hall having a great run tonight in the top 5. Timothy Peters, Matt Waltz, Mark Wirtz, Brendan Queen, Bobby McCarty, all in the top 10. Greg Edwards, he's 11th. Justin T. Carroll, 12th. Austin Thaxton, 13th. Casey Wyatt, 14th. Danny Edwards Jr. is 15th. Stacy Puryear is 16th. 17th is Sam Hunt. Justin S. Carroll is 18th. 19th, Eddie Johnson. Grayson Cullither is in the 22 and 20th. Then you got Dean Ward, Terry Carroll, Cody Carlton, Bubba Johnston, Cameron Bowen, Dean Shiflett. Followed by Macy Causey, who's out, then Thomas Marks, Paul Green, Matty Ryan, and Craig Estep. But he's fast. We're about to see how fast as he's on the outside of C.E. Falk, and the green flag is flying again.
Nick Smith misses a gear, and the entire field piles up. Matt Waltz's nose is crammed up. The hood is in a TP format. There's no way he can see where he's going.
Matt Waltz with a problem after he gets in the back end of the number 12 machine of Nick Smith. And let's hope that hangs on. Up front, it's a challenge for the second spot. Peyton Sellers looking for that second position.
Yeah, guys, Matt's coming to pit road. There's no way he can see where he's going because the hood is bent the wrong way. It's bent down and to the left, up in front of the driver's view. The pit crew's already at the wait for him to come down pit road, and they're just going to try to probably pop the hood and maybe send him back out. Actually, he's going nose first into the pit stall. He is done for the 2017 Hampton Heat.
Such a shame for Matt Waltz, one of the best out here at Langley Speedway. 55, Mark Wirtz caught on the outside. Here goes Connor Hall down low, trying to make a pass on Wirtz for that position that's just outside the top 5. Man, that could have been a disaster for Nick Smith, too, when he missed that gear on the restart. And a whole lot of other people that were behind him besides the 2 of Matt Waltz. Lap 104 of 200, the Hampton Heat 200. And once again, C.E. Falk about 4 to 5 car lengths ahead of Philip Morris.
You know, it looks like Nick Smith did miss a shift or something happened on that restart, but he has found a gear and is now riding around in about 5th position, where he's making a move to the inside of Timothy Peters. He's gotten to the back of him. As Buck said, that patience is starting to wear thin with these guys. He's going to go around Timothy Peters and head back to 4th. Got his sights set on Peyton Sellers to get back in that 3rd position. He's been racing in all night.
And knowing Nick Smith.
Whoa, we got trouble. Timothy Peters and Connor Hall.
Oh, my goodness. Peters and Connor Hall get together. Connor got into him in the side, shoved him up the racetrack. Peters goes around in the 12 machine, bringing out another caution flag here on lap 107. That Timothy Peters ride. And we saw the result. Here we go. Green flag. CE making the bottom of the racetrack work as he blasts out of turn number 2. But he's got the 0-1 looking on the outside. Peyton Sellers, Philip Morris. Danville Toyota 26, Peyton Sellers right there with the 0-1 of Philip Morris. So is the 55 of Mark Wirtz. Mark to the inside of Nick Smith. Battling for the 4th position. Great battles all over the racetrack as we get back up to speed. Casey Wyatt coming up to the front, getting inside the 26 of Danny Edwards.
And guys, at least in early laps, it looks like whatever they did to try to fix Philip Morris's car, it is snapping twice as bad on exit right now than it was in the first half of the race. We'll see if the air pressures build up a little bit more and get a little more heat in those right side tires if it makes a difference. But right now, Philip Morris under challenge, like you said, Mike, from Peyton Sellers.
Peyton Sellers coming up to challenge for the 2nd spot, and they race door to door in between turns 3 and 4. Peyton Sellers goes up to 2nd spot. And Philip Morris caught on the high side. He's going to lose another position. Nick Smith underneath him now for the 3rd spot. And there is the 55 of Mark Wirtz headed to the front as well. Mark Wirtz has a fast race car tonight. He saved it during that first half. And look who we've been talking about, Bobby McCarty. Will he end up in victory lane tonight? He's got a rocket ship. AutosByNelson.com on the side of his automobile. And Philip Morris dropping like a rock.
Philip went from 2nd all night long to about 6th in 2 laps after getting bumped up the racetrack a little bit by Peyton Sellers fighting a loose car. And we've got a battle for 2nd as Nick Smith heads to the inside of Peyton Sellers. Somebody else is going to try to get up there and make a run at CE Fault.
He was shoving Peyton Sellers' butt.
Yeah, he came off at turn number 4, and Sellers completely missed his mark down on the bottom of the track. And CE Fault just about Nick Smith shoved him down the front stretch. And into turn 1, he let him go, so he didn't get him sideways. But man, Nick Smith, whatever they did to that 12 machine of his, the Creative Surfaces Chevy, it is good on go for the short run. And here goes Bobby McCarty.
Bobby McCarty all over the inside of Peyton Sellers in that 26.
Meanwhile, C.E. Falk has really stretched it out. He is loving all this battling going on behind him as he has a clean racetrack in front, and he is starting to pull away, but things have settled down. It's going to be interesting to see if Nick Smith can catch up to him, get to the rear end, and get around him.
And the 26 goes up high on the racetrack at the exit of 2. Here goes the 55. Mark Wirtz making a move on the bottom of the racetrack to make that pass and take over the 4th position. Wirtz is coming. C.E. Falk, Nick Smith, Bobby McCarty, Mark Wirtz, Peyton Sellers top 5, then Philip Morris, Justin T. Carroll, Brendan Queen, Greg Edwards, Casey Wyatt top 10. Man, this is getting good.
Philip Morris has just not had the same car he had in the first segment. Buck?
Yeah, I tell you what, Brooks, it's completely faded away. It was snappy loose in that first half. Well, now it's just flat out loose on the exit of the corners. But, man, Bobby McCarty, whatever this team did but to that Autos by Nelson Toyota Camry 22 car that runs 3rd right now, Bobby now he's being told to just save your stuff a little bit, make another run in a few minutes. But here, only 28 laps into this second half, Bobby McCarty has stormed from just inside the top 10 to 3rd. Bobby Mack is on a roll.
Greg Edwards able to make the pass on Philip Morris. So is Casey Wyatt. The two Max Media teammates get by the 0-1 of Philip Morris. Greg moving up to the front. So is Casey. That is 8th and 9th. Casey in 9th and Greg in 8th. Lap 130 up in lights. C.E. Falk, Nick Smith, Bobby McCarty, Mark Wirtz, and Peyton Sellers top 5. Then Justin T. Carroll, Brendan Queen, Greg Edwards, Casey Wyatt, Philip Morris, Justin S. Carroll. Buck?
Yeah, one of the guys we watched early in the season. He was our points leader for a little while here at Langley. Justin T. Carroll. He and Brendan Queen have diced their way through the field, and both those cars sit just outside the top 5. In that 57 car, we've watched him make these late race runs and try to get to Dale Lemons victory lane. I wonder if he's got anything for him. Now Queen's going to dispatch of the 57 machine. Brendan Queen said he had a fast car. He's proven it into 6th for Butterbean.
Pretty exciting stuff. Lap 132. The Hampton Heat 200. Once again, $10,000 paycheck to win it. Danny Edwards gets to the inside of the Jerry's 91 of Justin S. Carroll as they fight for that position. And Danny Edwards moving up into the 11th position.
Yeah, two of the cars Buck mentioned during the break were Bobby McCarty and Brendan Queen. They have both moved up. McCarty into 3rd. Queen has moved into 6th, and he's got his sights set on Peyton Sellers to make a run to that top 5.
Oh, spin right here in front of the leader, the 22. He spins to bring out another caution flag. Grayson in the 22, Grayson Cullither. Bill Mullis, what you thinking so far?
One heck of a race. I mean, you got a pretty good view up here, Mike Allen. I think I need to hang around you more often.
Well, come on. Let's call some racing. Here we go. Green flag is out. C.E. Falk, Bobby McCarty on the front row. As we go back to green, a couple of those cars using. Oh, get them stacking up at the exit of 2. They get
trouble.
Oh,
Around goes Danny Edwards.
And
Connor
he's
Hall
collected
into
by
it.
Connor Hall. Second incident for Connor Hall, but Danny Edwards gets spun around. A lot of damage on the front end of the 26 machine, and also for the Connor Hall 77 buck. Several drivers using the cone. A lot of the drivers back through at least the 19 of Cameron Bowen. Nose to tail here on the restart down on the bottom of the racetrack. Green flag. Nick Smith trying to hang with. The 40 of C.E. Falk can't quite do it. Good restart this time. Lap 151. Nick Smith now digging deep. If he can get to the back bumper of C.E. Falk, I believe there will be a little bit of contact. What do you think, Brooks?
I don't think that Nick Smith is going to hold anything back should he get there, but we're 152 laps into this thing, 153 laps in, and nobody has seemed to have anything for CE yet. However, it is the Hampton Heat 200, not the Hampton Heat 153, 175, or even 199. So we're going to see what he has in these last 50 laps and see if Nick Smith or Bobby McCarty or even Peyton Sellers, any of those guys have anything for him. You know, they've all been hanging out in the top 5, top 10 all night. Somebody's got to go up there and see what they've got.
Peyton Sellers looking good. He is in 4th. And also that 57, Justin T. Carroll. Mark Wirtz just about gets wrecked by Butterbean. Butterbean sliding to the inside. He made contact with the 55 of Wirtz. Wirtz ain't going to be happy about that, but he's caught on the outside of Butterbean and about to get freight trained. Because if Brendan Queen gets by, that's going to bring Greg Edwards, Casey White, and the whole field to the inside. What do you think, Bill?
What a race. That's all I can say, Mike. I can't call it like you guys, but, you know, I'm like Brooks. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's not the Hampton Heat 160, so we got a little bit of racing left and enough racing that something's going to happen that's going to change things.
Back up front, C.E. Falk can't seem to escape the grasp of the 12 of Nick Smith. Bobby McCarty watching both these guys. So is Peyton Sellers in 26.
You know, throughout this race, we've seen C.E. Falk pull away slowly on every restart. This is the first time that I have not seen him get away. Nick Smith is right there. Bobby McCarty's right there. Peyton Sellers is right there. Justin Carroll's right there. Those guys are not letting him open up that half a straightaway, full straightaway lead that he's had. I think that they're ready to go. Buck talked about drivers losing their patience. I think we saw a little bit of that with Brendan Queen and Wirtz. And Wirtz is going to pay him back right here as they come off of 4 and head into turn 1 and 2.
Mark Wirtz on a mission with the 0-3 of Butterbean. Now at the bottom of the racetrack at the exit of 2. Hanging right with him. Greg Edwards and Casey Wyatt behind these two. Ever so slightly pushing the 0-3. Dives underneath him now in between turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact made between those two, and he gets him loose at the exit of turn 2. Caution flag is out for a big crash over here at the bottom of turn number 2. That is Eddie Johnson and the 17, yeah.
Stacy Purrier's involved in that. Eddie Johnson's involved into this. Brendan Queen, another one. He's going to take it. He and Justin Carroll have been together all night long, whether they were racing for 11th and 12th or as they're racing for 4th and 5th. So they've been together all night. Here we go with the restart. C.E. Falk on the inside. Peyton Sellers on the outside. C.E.'s going to drive it down into turn 1, and he's going to bring Nick Smith with him. Smith cannot make the move on Sellers. Sellers is going to hold that second position headed into 3, but Smith is still right there looking for the second spot as C.E. Falk's loving this 2-wide racing behind him. Now we're seeing him open up that lead.
Yeah, mainly because those two guys were leaning on each other that time between 3 and 4. Now they stayed clean in between 1 and 2 that time as Nick Smith takes off and takes over the second spot. Peyton Sellers right there in the 3rd position with a challenge on his inside as it's Bobby McCarty in 22.
You know, Sellers tried that outside. He went from 4th to 2nd on the restart. Now he's headed back to 4th. It looks like the inside is where you want to be. Mark Wirt starting to make a look to the inside of Sellers. He's headed into the top 4. Sellers trying to hold on to 5th. Brendan Queen's already gotten to the bottom. He's going to come up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Peyton Sellers kicking that outside line.
Buck Bruce.
Yeah, they're stacked up back there for 4th spot right now, Brooks and Mike. I tell you what, this is a wild race right now. Bobby McCarty has broke free. I was going to talk about Bobby McCarty and Sellers have had a little bit of a run-in at South Boston Speedway this year. So a little bit of a kickback between those two guys running side by side. You know, neither one's going to give an inch in that battle because they've already battled for the wins, and both of them have replaced clips on their machines in 2017.
Contact. Mark Wirtz gets into the 26. He spins around. Couple of cars get involved in it. Casey Wyatt avoids damage. And there's the 12 and the 97 of Greg Edwards has a lot of damage on the front end of the Eagle machine. They use the Krispy Kreme cone. And here we go. Green flag. Bobby McCarty will challenge C.E. Falk. And he ain't afraid to do it on the outside. C.E. pushed him up the racetrack. That opens the door for Nick Smith and Brendan Butterbean Queen. A lot more physical. And it's heating up for the Hampton Heat 200 at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. Lap 178 of 200.
C.E. Falk starting to stretch it out just a little bit, but Nick Smith will not go away. Now, if you look at the two cars, there's a big difference. C.E. Falk's car, it's clean. He hasn't had anybody around him all night. Nick Smith has come from 5th to 4th to 3rd to 2nd. He's got a car, but he's also, you had to use it up a little bit more than C.E. The unknown is, what is C.E. going to do when somebody's on his rear bumper? We haven't seen that all night. Now he's got a track full of cars who are going to be right there as we head into these last 20 laps.
Look at Timothy Peters. The car is all torn up. You can't even see the number. There is no number. There's no sign on the automobile. He's up there in 10th position.
Timothy Peters is there. He's got Philip Morris right there just outside the top 10. Peyton Sellers, he's starting to try to mount a comeback from a recent accident. But the one thing that has been consistent this whole race is C.E. Falk III. He has been out front for 181 laps. However, Nick Smith was 3 car lengths. Now he's cut it down to 2. He's going to try to get there in the next 18 laps. I think we're going to have a show.
Bobby McCarty and Butterbean with a big battle on the racetrack as they fight it out for that 3rd spot. And Bobby's going to take it over from Butterbean.
Coming out of turn 4, Nick Smith is there for the lead.
Yes, he is. He's chasing him down. He might have something left. He got a little loose that time, trying to chase into the corner a little bit too hard on CE.
He's not going to go away, Buck.
Yeah, Mike, I just shot y'all a picture up here to look at. How hard are these drivers trying to win this Hampton Heat? About 10 yards to the right, to the left of Shane Snyder, our flagman, and about 10.5 yards to the right of him, it's all tire marks right at the center of the front stretch along the outside wall. These cars are getting into the wall, and C.E. Falk is under fire, guys.
He is. Nick Smith is right there. Nick Smith been riding in the top 3 all night long. He started this race in the 3rd position. He's moved up to 2nd. He will not go away. C.E. Falk has led the first 185, 186 laps, but Nick Smith is there. Bobby McCarty, Brendan Queen, that's there in the top 4.
Nick is breathing down the neck of C.E. Falk. Bobby McCarty, 3rd spot. Brendan Queen, 4th. Justin T. Carroll and Connor Hall. An amazing comeback.
Nick Smith's there. Contact.
Oh! Gets into him.
Nick Smith's going to look to the inside. It looks like for the first time tonight we may have a new leader. No, C.E. Falk pulls back down in front of the 12. He's got the 40, but Nick Smith's still there.
Again.
He's going to bump him again coming out of turn 4. It looks like C.E. Falk has a stronger car in turns 1 and 2. Nick Smith is the man to beat in 3 and 4.
Racing for $10,000. Money's up for grabs. Anything goes. They make contact again between 3 and 4.
It's now a 4-car battle.
3 wide for the lead. Now it's Bobby McCarty and Nick Smith for the first time all night. C.E. Falk is not leading with 11 to go. Bobby McCarty takes the lead. Nick Smith rides 2nd. Brendan Queen 3rd. C.E. Falk settles in 4th.
Wow, C.E. goes from the lead back to 4th position. Power move, the 22. Bobby McCarty in the lead. Then Nick Smith, Brendan Queen, C.E. Falk, Justin T. Carroll, top 5.
Brendan Queen trying to get around Nick Smith for that 2nd position. C.E. Falk there in 4th. Bobby McCarty has stretched it out to about a 2-car length lead, 3-car length lead as we have 9 laps to go.
Wow, what a race. It's getting down, it's getting good. Here goes Butterbean working on the inside of Nick Smith. That is for the 2nd spot.
Bobby McCarty is loving that battle for 2nd as he is starting to stretch his lead to a half a straightaway. Looks like Brendan Queen headed to the inside of Nick Smith. C.E. Falk starting to fade a little bit back there in 4th. Justin Carroll riding 5th.
C.E. Falk led over 180 laps, but now he finds himself out of the lead and back in 4th. And just ahead, a side-by-side battle in his windshield and Buck Roos.
Guys, I think if Butterbean gets by the 12 machine, look for the 40 to look for some revenge.
Look out for the 12, though, Buck. Look out for Nick Smith. He's coming back.
Meanwhile, Bobby McCarty has stretched it out. Let's also give a call out to Connor Hall. He's been involved in 2 or 3 accidents. He's hanging in there in 6th position.
It's amazing. What a race. Bobby McCarty comes to Langley Speedway with a chance to win $10,000 in 5 laps. And look at the lead he has. He has stretched it out. 13 car lengths, 14 maybe, over Butterbean. Having a great run tonight in the 2nd spot. Then Nick Smith, C.E. Falk, Justin T. Carroll, Connor Hall, Casey Wyatt in 7. Timothy Peters, Austin Thaxton, Justin S. Carroll, your top 10.
You know, at lap 100, Buck Roos said Bobby McCarty is going to be the car to watch out for in the 2nd half of this race. We have 2 laps to go. Bobby McCarty has stretched out that lead. Buck, how did you know?
Just from the years of watching Bobby McCarty race, Bobby McCarty does, like I like to say it, what Bobby Mack does. He gets in a race car, he learns a racetrack, and he wins. He's always done it, and then he climbed in the autos by Nelson machine at Martinsville last fall, drove it right to the front before battery and fuel issues sidelined him. That young man knows how to get it done in a stock car.
C.E. Falk just got into Nick Smith. Nick Smith is going to repay the favor here as we get down to the end of this one.
White flag is out. Bobby McCarty heads off into turn 1 and 2, headed into 3 and 4. Bobby McCarty with a lead over Brendan Queen. I don't think Brendan Queen's going to do it. Bobby McCarty.
Bobby McCarty to the checkered flag for the Hampton Heat 200 at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. Bobby McCarty wins. Brendan Queen in 2nd, C.E. Falk 3rd, Nick Smith 4th, and Justin T. Carroll 5th. Connor Hall 6th, Timothy Peters 7th, Casey Wyatt 8th, Justin Carroll 9th, and Terry Carroll in the top 10 for the Hampton Heat 200. What a great race. Austin Thaxton, he ends up 11th, Peyton Sellers 12th, Stacy Puryear 13th, 14th. It is Dean Ward. Then you got Sam Hunt in 15th. Philip Morris ends up in 16th. Cody Carlton 17th. Dean Shiflett 18th. Eddie Johnson 19th. 20th, Greg Edwards. 21st, Mark Wirtz. 22nd, Cameron Bowen. Danny Edwards, 23rd. 24th, Grayson Cullither. Then Bubba Johnston, Matt Waltz, Macy Causey, Thomas Marks, Paul Green, Matty Ryan, and Craig Eastep. But the winner of the race, the 22 of Bobby McCarty.
Race fans, join me in giving a big hand to Bobby McCarty! There you go, buddy. Checkered flag on one side and a $10,000 check on the other side, Bobby McCarty. Man, what a race, brother. I told you, man, it looked like you had the car to get it done, man.
We had a great car, man. These guys standing over here, I love them to death. They work so hard and push me and give me everything I need to come out here and do what I'm doing. I love them to death. I cannot thank them enough.
Well, I tell you what, man, I said before, you climbed in your first Autos by Nelson machine at Martinsville Speedway when Timothy had to disappear for an obligation, and you drove that car right to the front at Martinsville Speedway. Driving this car from mid-pack qualifying all the way to the front in this 200-lap race, and I mean, it just worked out storybook right in front of you. I mean, when they started banging, you were right there, and once they really moved each other up the track, there was no looking back. I mean, you actually won by half a straightaway, dude.
They was racing really hard. You know, we was in third right there, and I wanted to go up there and race with them, but I was planning on, these big races always have late race cautions, so I just waited. The 12 and the 40 started racing hard, and they slipped up the track, and I took my opportunity. But like I said, I can't thank all the guys at Nelson Motorsports enough. I love them so much, man. I'm not just saying that. We've grown really close together over this year, and I just owe all my success to them.
There you go, my friend. Well, Bill Mullis, looks like you got something really important there for him.
Yeah, I do. I've got this check for Bobby for $10,000, and a big congratulations from the staff and all the fans at Langley Speedway on a great run. They didn't talk about him very much during the race, but they're going to talk about him now.
There you go, buddy. And Chuck?
Got Mayor Tuck here from City of Hampton. Another great Hampton Heat, Mayor. What a tremendous race.
Absolutely outstanding. I feel sorry for anybody who left early.
Step right in there, Mayor Tuck and the entire staff and management of the City of Hampton doing a fine job in the presentation of the 9th Annual Hampton Heat. Let's recap. Coming up in April of 2018, the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown coming in Langley Speedway. And then this date, next July, the 10th Annual Hampton Heat. You'll be here before you know it, Buck.
Whew, and I tell you what, if it was a barn burner tonight, remember the late models return next week as well, next Saturday night here at Larry King Law's late model stock car racing facility of Langley Speedway. And on behalf of everybody here at Langley Speedway, Mike, what a great time we had tonight. Thank you to Kathy from South Boston. Thank you to Brooks and Clay from Martinsville Speedway for coming out here with us, Richmond International Raceway and the Virginia Lottery, and of course, the City of Hampton for all your support. It's been a great race night. The Hampton Heat's in the books. Bobby McCarty.